Are you ready to take your message, your business, and your life to the next level?
Want to learn from someone with more than a decade of experience, training tens of thousands of people from all around the world?
Hi, Cliff. This is Pauline from Auckland, New Zealand.
John from Calgary, Alberta.
Amy Porterfield.
Michael Hyatt.
Dan here from Dunedin, New Zealand.
Ray Edwards. Mark Mason. Mike Stelzner.
Pat from Smart Passive Income.
It's Darren from Melbourne, Australia.
Now is the time to live the life of your dreams and do the work you feel most called to do in the world.
Welcome to the Cliff Ravenscraft Show.
Here's your host, Cliff Ravenscraft.
That's right, my friends. Welcome to episode number 539 of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. And today, I'm going to be talking about how I can possibly justify the rates that I charge. That's a question that recently came in. This is going to be a challenging episode, to say the least. This one is one of those episodes where there's that potential that sharing what I have on my mind could totally backfire. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm out of breath. I am. I was just jumping up and down as I was listening to the intro music. I wanted to get my energy up and flowing so that I could bring my peak emotional state into the conversation in this week's episode. So it'll take me just a minute to get my breath back. I am not going to do any editing in this week's episode. The title this week is, How Confident Are You in the Value that You Provide? And that's a question that I was asking myself all day today, all day yesterday, and it's a question that I've been asking myself for years. And it's a question I want to ask you. If you happen to be doing something for someone else as an employee, the question I have for you is, how confident are you in the value that you provide to your employer? But my exact ideal customer, if you will, or my exact ideal client, target audience, whatever you want to call it, that I'm trying to reach with this particular podcast it's people who are in the process of building their own business. As a business mentor, that's who I'm trying to reach, people who have potentially lived a lifetime as an employee, who are making a transition into full-time self-employment, or at least on the journey of full-time self-employment. Whether you still have the day job and you're just building something on the side, getting ready to build something on the side, maybe you have already put in a transition plan, maybe you've already left the day job. The question is still, where are you in the journey today? Wherever you are, how confident are you in the value that you provide? Now, I'm going to start off by reading you real quickly a little excerpt from an email conversation that has recently transpired, which is the catalyst, the inspiration for this particular episode. Now, I'm going to go and give you the full story in just a little bit, but just to start off, I want to ask you this. If you were to have somebody reach out to you and say, hey, I heard that you offer some one-on-one mentoring or some one-on-one coaching. It's a 3-package deal. Can you tell me a little bit about that? It seems like that might be what I want to do. And if you actually responded to them and you told them how much you charge for that package, and let's just say you decided to let them know that your mentoring package or your coaching package is $3,500, and that includes 3 one-hour mentoring sessions within a 90-day period of time. And then once you have sent that email response to them, based upon them initially reaching out to you to ask about your package, they respond with the following email, word for word. And I'm going to read it to you here. It says, geez, my Harvard-educated attorney doesn't charge that much. Come to think of it, my accountant wouldn't much approve such an expense either. And as you saw on the Mastermind application, I'm doing fairly successful with my online business pursuits. How do you justify your rates? And it's actually not a question mark. It's how do you justify your rates? Exclamation mark. It's either a new set of tires or 3 conversations with you. Tough choice! Exclamation mark. How would you respond to that? Actually, before you even think about that, imagine this. That email response comes to you, and what emotional state would that evoke inside of you? Now, I'm not going to tell you that I'm perfect and tell you that I had the exact emotional response that I would desire to have in response to somebody who has basically questioned my value for what I'm charging. And so when I had just briefly glanced at my email inbox right before the Green Room Mastermind group started yesterday, and I saw the email response come in from the gentleman that I was having this back and forth conversation with. And when that came in, basically that's the entire email that came in yesterday, right before the mastermind group. And I will tell you, it's like, wow. It's like I'm like, okay, he's asking me to justify, and part of me was like, well, why am I charging that much? And maybe he has a point. Harvard educated attorneys, who, they don't even charge that much for 1 hour and all. It's like, but part of me wants to be defensive, and of course I've learned a long time ago, you do not hit the reply button with any sort of reply until you've actually got into an emotional state of mind where you actually can be helpful in the situation. I've learned not to react to these kinds of questions. And this one, it kind of got under my skin a little bit. I'm like, whoa, that's a difficult question that came in. And I had been sitting on it all day yesterday. And this morning I went to the gym. I was thinking about it while I was at the gym, and I'm like, I think I might do this as a podcast episode. And I started to think, how do I respond? And this is one where, okay, do I just think that, okay, well, this guy's kind of like ticked off, and it's like, well, there's no bother worrying about this guy, and maybe do I just ignore it and say, I'm sorry you don't see the value. Have a great day, blah, blah, blah. I mean, how do you handle something like that? Well, I'm going to share with you how I handled that conversation. I'm going to tell you the whole story behind what happened in the exchange before that email conversation came in. But before I do that, I want to actually go back to this question and ask you, how confident are you in the value that you provide in the work that you do, or in just any relationship with anybody? How confident are you in the value that you provide? And one of the things that I have done over the years is I've made it a point to recognize for myself, in myself, the accomplishments I've had in life. In fact, I think it was probably January 2016, I came home from Unleash the Power Within, which is a Tony Robbins conference. And one of the things that I felt led to do was to actually make an inventory. And actually, now that I think about it, is that even well before I even started looking into Tony Robbins style material, this is several years ago, I had already started the practice of creating an inventory. Might have even been initially inspired by Dan Miller years ago. But anyway, I do recall occasionally coming up with this, well, hey, I have this big, huge thing that I want to accomplish in life. This is something that I want to do, some new venture, something that's more expensive than I've ever charged, product that's more expensive than I've ever charged for before. And each time I did that, this question that comes up is like, who do I think that I am? It's like, who do you think you are charging that much money? And immediately I would go myself into the comparison game. It's like, well, gosh, I even know people who I look up to who are I consider to maybe even be more successful than I, and some of the things that they are doing that are similar to what I want to do, they don't even charge that much. And I start comparing myself to them. And it's like, who do I think that I am? And gosh, it had to have been all the way back in 2013, 2012, maybe even 2011, because I remember it took a lot for me to grow in my mindset about the value that I bring to the table to get to the place where I was able to create something like a $2,000 podcasting A to Z course before I got to the place where I was able to do some other very significant ventures in my business. And I remember a quote from Oprah, of all people, and she said in this quote, and I'm paraphrasing because it was years ago, and so actually the quote came initially from Oprah. It was something like this. She says, "I used to ask myself, who do I think that I am? And then I started to answer, well, this is who I am." It's something like that. And that was a mindset shift for me personally, where I began to get serious about taking an inventory of, well, who am I? What do I bring to the table? And I want to share with you, if you've never done this before, I encourage you just to get out a notebook, open up a Word document, and create an inventory list of who you are, the accomplishments you've achieved in life, the goals that you've set that you've successfully achieved in life. Make an inventory of who you are and what you've accomplished. What are some of your character traits that you're very proud of? And see, the thing is now, if you are kind of coming up from a Christian background like I have come up from, you might actually find this to be a very difficult task, assignment to accomplish, because we've been taught that we shouldn't be boastful, we shouldn't be proud, we shouldn't do all these other things, and I'm not going to go into that. That's for another podcast episode, maybe at some other point in the future. But the reality is I want to encourage you, even if you struggle with the idea, I want you to create an inventory of, this is who I am, the things that I am proud of, the things that I have achieved. And I want you to make a bullet point list of as many things that you can possibly come up with. And in this episode, I want to share with you 6 questions that could potentially change your life. Right now, I'm going to share with you 6 questions that could potentially change your life. Now, these 6 questions, I've heard them before several years ago. Back then, I don't remember taking action on them. But just recently, I was working with a one-on-one mentoring client. And this one-on-one mentoring client, unfortunately, I did not know her that well. So I'd only had 2 different one-on-one mentoring sessions. And prior to those 2 one-on-one mentoring sessions, she had attended a Next Level workshop, which is a 2-day event here. And outside of those 3 experiences with her, I didn't really know. The relationship has not spanned enough time, and we've not had enough interactions. We've had 3 interactions. They've been high quality, high touch interactions, trust me. But still, when she submitted these questions to me, I didn't feel like I had established enough of a relationship with her to provide her valuable responses. But she was working with me, and she had also been working with a couple other different coaching programs that she's going through to be able to accomplish some very high-end, big, hairy, audacious goals. And I love what she's going after. But she actually sent these 6 questions to me, and I'm like, wow, I really wish I had these answers for you. And when I share with you what the 6 questions are, you'll understand why you need to have a bit of a relationship with someone before you can ask them to give you valid answers to these questions. I'm sure I could have made something up in these with the 3 interactions that I've had with her, but I felt like being authentic and genuine would be the best thing, and I gave her some advice. I shared with her some valuable feedback, but not based upon anything more than just the 3 interactions that we've had. So she gave me these 6 questions. I'm like, I've heard about this assignment before. I never took action on it previously, but I'm like, man, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to use this. I think I need to do this assignment my own, and I encourage you to find some people that you've had long-standing relationships with, and especially like previous clients and stuff like that you could get them to answer these for you. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna begin to ask people myself these questions. So I did. I immediately went and asked these 6 questions to some of my closest friends, my business mentors, people in my mastermind groups, a couple previous clients that I've worked with, and wow, these 6 questions are life-changing. So what are the 6 questions? I'm going to give them to you. Question number 1, you want to send these questions to somebody who knows you extremely well, somebody that, well, let me just tell you the questions and you'll know who to ask. All right. So question number 1, what are my 3 to 5 unique qualities? And by the way, don't give any kind of description as to or any qualifiers of what any of this stuff means. Let them answer these, let them interpret these questions in their own way. So question number 1 is simply this: what are my 3 to 5 unique qualities? Question number 2, what value do you get from connecting with me? What value do you get from connecting with me? Question number 3, what do you think is my professional strength? Question number 4, what do you think is my personal strength? Question number 5, what attribute is unique to me and separates me from others? I'll read that again. What attribute is unique to me and separates me from others? And then question number 6, what is one quality that I seem to undervalue that you think I should be more bold about sharing? Do you see can you sense the power in asking these questions and getting some responses from people who you are connected with, who have consistently received value from you? And see, that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, I mean, if I'm being genuine and authentic, what value have I received from this person who was asked me? They had come to my workshop. They had done a couple one-on-one mentoring sessions with me, and the value that I received is that, hey, you're a go-getter, and that you have strong and passionate goals that you're attacking, and the value is that you've been a high quality, high paying client. I mean, that is not the kind of questions. That's not the kind of responses. If there was more of a relationship where I'm actually getting more value, it's been. I think you understand where I'm coming from, why I just didn't feel like I was the right person to be answering these 6 questions for her. But some of the people that I've reached out to are like Michael Hyatt, Pat Flynn, Dan Miller, Ray Edwards, Mark Mason, all the people in my mastermind group. I have reached out to all of these individuals, and I've asked them, what are my 3 to 5 unique qualities? What value do you get from connecting with me? What do you think is my professional strength? What do you think is my personal strength? What attribute is unique to me that separates me from all the others? And what is one quality that you believe that I seem to undervalue, that you think I should be more bold about sharing? By the way, I will put all 6 of these questions in the show notes over at thecliffravenscraftshow.com/539. thecliffravenscraftshow.com/539. Okay, now, so I've reached out to, when you ask people these questions, by the way, don't send this out as a blast email to everybody you know. Think about 10, 15, maybe 20 people who you very much respect, that you trust are going to give you honest, real answers, and people that you have some long-standing relationships with where you have provided value to them. And also, I wouldn't recommend that you put this in a place where you post it somewhere and then allow them to leave the responses in a comment so that people can kind of get an idea and see how other people have answered this. Personally, what I did, I went in and I personally sent these 6 questions individually with individual emails to the people that I personally chose to respond to these 6 questions. I then created a Google form, and in Google Forms, I did go in and put the 6 questions in, and as they responded, I copied and pasted all of their responses into a Google form. Now, if I wanted to, I could have turned it into a Google form and hit a survey and sent them a link to the survey so that they could just answer on them right online. But I chose to do it the way that I did. I recommend sending an individual email to those that you feel like would be the people you would want to receive these responses, these 6 responses from to these questions. And what it's designed to do is to help you get by the way, don't wait until you get these responses to make your inventory. Make your inventory first. So create your inventory of all the things that you think are your unique qualities. Add to your inventory all the things where you believe people find value in connecting with you. Before you get any responses, on your inventory, think about what are your professional strengths? What are your personal strengths? What attributes are unique to you that separates you from anyone else? What is one thing that you personally, yourself, what is one thing, one quality that you undervalue that you think you yourself needs to be more bold about sharing? Okay? But also all the things that you've accomplished in the past, all of those things, make your inventory first. And then send these questions, these 6 questions out to the people that you would most want to get these responses from. And then add those to your inventory list. And here's what I can tell you. I can tell you it's happened for me. I've shared this experience with all the members in the Next Level Mastermind. And what I can tell you is people have actually gone and they've done this assignment and their mind has been blown. People have been brought to tears by the responses that people have given. I've had chills, like not chills, what do you call those? Goosebumps on my arms when reading some of the responses. It was like, wow. I never would have guessed that this person would have said those words about the value that they get from connecting with me. Mind blown. And I was already a pretty darn confident person. You know, some of you probably think, gosh, Cliff Ravenscraft, he's one of the most arrogant people I know. I'm not an arrogant person, but I am a confident person. I think there is a difference. I don't know how fine the line is, but I am a confident person. And as confident as I am, there are still areas where I have limiting beliefs about who I am. I still have limiting beliefs about the value that I add to people. And I know that I underestimate and undervalue some of the things that I do. And these 6 questions, this assignment is life-changing. And so if you don't do anything else with this podcast episode, if you were to stop listening right now, go to thecliffravenscraftshow.com/539, get these 6 questions, copy and paste them into individual emails, and send them out to people that you've been adding value to over the years, and get your responses after you've done your inventory. Your life will be different moving forward. I promise you. I can guarantee you that if you complete this assignment, your life will change. You will become more confident in the value that you provide to others. All right? Now, let's go back to the question, the email, and let me tell you the rest of the story, the full story. So, by the way, I want you to know that I did respond to the gentleman that sent me the email. And I'm going to read you my response to him in just a moment. And I do want to let you know that he's given me permission to not only read the email, but he's even given me permission to share his name. Although I'm not going to share his name, not because I don't want to give him any credit. He wasn't looking for credit, but it's not important for me to share that information. But let me just share the story. That's what I'm going to do. All right, so here's the full story. Number one, it was about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, I received an application for the Next Level Mastermind. Now, in the application, it asks some it asks some decent questions in there about where you are in your journey of self-employment. And I have some notes here. First of all, the notes that I felt like I could pull out and share with you here. This gentleman he's been building his online business for about 2 years, and he's currently generating between $6,000 to $10,000 per month. Okay, and he hits $10,000 per month more often than not. All right. His main streams of income from his online business, he's got passive income that's hitting about $6,000 a month from online courses, and the remaining income is coming from one-on-one coaching and mentoring. All right. Now, another thing that he had mentioned is one of his goals is to 6 to 8x or 8x, 6 to 8x his income within the next 6 to 12 months. So this is somebody who is he says, I want to create a business that generates well over $1 million per year at the end of 2018. We're in 2018, and he actually told me how much money he's made in the first 3 months, and it's a very aggressive goal. All right, very aggressive goal. All right. So anyway, he says he currently has it's quote unquote secure day job. However, he has a desire to transition out of it within let's just say, very short period of time. I won't go into more detail than that. By the way, everything that I'm sharing with you here, with the exception of a desire to generate over $1 million per year by the end of 2018, everything else in here is pretty much standard and typical of nearly every member of the Next Level Mastermind. There are some people who are generating less than $6,000 to $10,000 per month from their online business efforts, but they actually have a significant amount of income from their day job that they're transitioning out of, and they have a very, very sound transition plan in place. But anyway, so I'm not, again, none of this stuff could be tied back to any one person just by the details that I'm sharing here. Anyway, he says, here's one thing. I'm interested in meeting, this is something that he stated in the application, and this is a direct quote from one of the responses. I'm interested in meeting new people that would allow me to increase my income and take my life to the next level. And by the way, one of the things that he stated, I always ask folks, what is your single greatest struggle to building and growing your online business? And here it is, quote for quote, sales and reaching out to people for more expensive courses and products. So this is somebody who is, making an average of $10,000 per month. All right. This is somebody who wants to 6 to 8x his income and get his business to generate and he said well over $1 million by the end of this year. And his greatest struggle is sales and the ability to reach out to people with more expensive courses and products. So keep all of that in mind. All right. So those are his biggest hangups, and it's his biggest goal, right? So based upon additional information provided in this application, I looked it over. It was very clear to me that this gentleman would be a perfect fit for the Next Level Mastermind. I never, of course, want to temper or to pour any water on anybody's hot flame of their aggressive financial goals. I love people who dream of taking $10,000 average per month of income and then within 9 months generating a minimum of well over $1 million by the end of the year. First of all, I've not done that. But the thing is just because I haven't done it, by the way, I could. I haven't had the desire to do it, and I know that sounds crazy. It's a lot of a limiting belief for me, but it's also a lot of my desire to have the margin and to be able to do the things specifically that I'm choosing to do, and to not do the things that I'm specifically choosing not to do in my business right now. But I know for a fact that I could between now and the end of this year, if I desired to, I could generate over $1 million before the end of this year. That I hands down absolutely know it could be done. But and the thing is I don't know that this person has all the same resources that I do. But let me just say this: I know that I have what it takes to help someone in this position. Maybe not 6 to 8x. I think I have the information necessary for 6 to 8x income increase. I certainly believe that I have what it would take, some valuable insights, and with the use of the mastermind principle, I'm confident that this person could at least double, if not 3x, their income as a result of being in the Next Level Mastermind for a year. So that's a kind of a no-brainer. I mean, pretty much everyone who's in the Next Level Mastermind has already achieved that. And the Next Level Mastermind only started back in November 2017. So that, yeah, he was just reading the application, perfect fit for the Next Level Mastermind. However, one of the things that happened was the application came in, but no schedule for the 30-minute interview, which is required. It's step number 2. So step number 1 is you complete your application over at nextlevelmastermind.info, if you're interested, by the way. Nextlevelmastermind.info. And you submit the application. Step number 2 is to schedule a 30-minute interview with me. Now, I didn't see his interview come through. It took about a day. I got an email response. It's like, oh, okay, I just took care of it. And I looked at my calendar. I looked at my email. I said I didn't see it, so I wrote back and said, hey, I've looked all over. I don't see there. If you can tell me what date and time you believe that you chose out of the available times, I apologize for any potential technical difficulty. I will certainly manually go in and block out that time so that we can get this scheduled. It took a couple days, and I didn't hear back from him. So then a couple days later, I email him again and say, hey, listen, I just want to let you know, I'm getting ready to do some significant promotion for the Next Level Mastermind. There's currently only 3 spots available in the group that you're applying for. I would really love to have this interview with you to confirm that this is a good fit. And I didn't hear anything back for days. And then yesterday morning, which is yesterday would be Wednesday, March 21st, 2018. Yesterday morning, I get an email. Actually, no, it might have been, it doesn't matter. It was probably Tuesday. So Tuesday, I got an email, and this is what he wrote. He says, so sorry about the delayed response. I've come to the thoughtful conclusion that the Next Level Mastermind doesn't seem like a great fit for me. However, my friend made me aware that you are offering 3-time mentoring sessions very soon. That seems like it would be a better fit for me. I didn't even know that you did one-on-one coaching. Please let me know the details about these sessions that you are offering. Now that I'm actually looking, by the way, I copied and pasted this into my show notes here. And now that I look at it, I should be able to understand that these exclamation marks aren't like some kind of like, it seems like this individual, he really likes using exclamation, because it's basic. He says, please let me know the details about the sessions you are offering, exclamation mark. So it's not like he's yelling at me or anything like that. So I guess in context, now I can see this from a different perspective. He just likes to use exclamation marks. And I get that, because I use all kinds of stuff. I use little emoticons and stuff like that in some of the emails that I do, and I use lots of exclamation marks. Although I very rarely use one exclamation mark, I usually always use like 2 or 3 or 5 or 10. But anyway, here's the interesting thing. He says, I've come to the thoughtful conclusion that the Next Level Mastermind doesn't seem like a great fit for me. Now, I can tell you right now, the only I'm wondering where he came up with that. The only thing I can think of is maybe he spent some time watching the 1-hour webinar replay on the webpage where I answer a lot of frequently asked questions about being in the Next Level Mastermind. And the only thing I could think of is that just a weekly call every Wednesday is not a good fit. And I don't think it's the financial side of things, the investment financially, although it could be that as well. But anyway, for whatever reason, he wrote to me and says, I'm sorry about the delayed response. He came to the thoughtful conclusion that the Next Level Mastermind does not seem like a great fit, which is perfectly fine. Let me just say this. I do not want anyone in the Next Level Mastermind who isn't absolutely convinced that the Next Level Mastermind is a great fit for them. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I require a minimum of a 30-minute interview, because I want people to convince me, number one, that they are a good fit for the Next Level Mastermind, and they also have to convince me that the Next Level Mastermind is a good fit for them. That's the purpose of these interviews. But he didn't even do the interview, but he came to the thoughtful conclusion that the Next Level Mastermind doesn't seem like to be a great fit. Now, here's the thing. He says, however, my friend made me aware that you're offering these a 3-time mentoring package very soon. Seems like that would be a better fit for me. I didn't know that you did the one-on-one. Please let me know the details of the sessions you are offering! Exclamation mark. Okay, so I responded with this. I simply wrote, as soon as I got this email, it's like, yes, I do offer a package for $3,500. This would include 3 1-hour mentoring calls with me within a 90-day period of time. Would you like me to send you an invoice and pre-mentoring questionnaire and get our first call scheduled? That's all I said. He says, a friend of mine told me that you're offering this. I didn't know that you give me the details. And I said, yes, it's $3,500. He basically says, please tell me the details. So that's exactly what I did. I hit reply. Yes, I do offer a package for $3,500. This would include 3 1-hour mentoring calls within a 90-day period of time. Would you like me to send you an invoice and the pre-mentoring questionnaire and get our first call scheduled? Sincerely, Cliff. All right? And so I think that probably happened Tuesday. And then right before the green room mastermind call yesterday, I briefly saw that he had responded to that, and I was wondering, before this call starts, before I jump onto the green room mastermind call, I'm going to read real quickly, see what he said. And what did I get? Geez, my Hartford-educated attorney doesn't charge that much. Come to think of it, my accountant wouldn't approve such a major expense. And as you saw on the Mastermind application, I am doing fairly successful with my online business pursuits. How do you justify your rates? It's either a new set of tires or 3 conversations with you. Tough choice. All right. Now, again, I told you I didn't have the absolute best emotional response when I first read that. It's like whoa! It took a little bit of a knock. It almost like knocked the wind out of me a little bit. It's like, should I actually be as confident as I am in my pricing? You know, I don't know. Do you ever experience that? And then I'm like, and I thought about it. And it's like, well, yeah. And then I immediately thought of all the things I could have immediately hit reply and said. But I promise you it would have not been the right thing to have said. And I know that because it would have been defensive. And matter of fact, I thought about it. It's like, man, this would be a great, I thought about this yesterday. This would be a great podcast episode. But recording this podcast episode yesterday would not have been a good thing. It took a while for me to reframe this entire situation, for me to think of it in a way that is going to be a valuable experience for me to learn from, for me to actually use as a tool to teach in this podcast episode, but it's also going to be an important opportunity for me to respond to this person in a way that actually communicates the value and that in a way actually does reinforce the value that I bring to the table for that rate. So, how would you respond to that question? Do you want to know what my response was? Because I did. I sent him an email reply today. And here's what I wrote, okay? And I'm going to read this to you word for word. Here's what I wrote. I love the question that you posed. How do you justify your rates? I have never been asked to justify my rates before. I'm going to have to give it some thought. It's certainly a valid question. I think I may use this question as a topic for my podcast this week. I promise there would be no mention of your name or any details that would lead back to you personally. Based upon the phrase, my friend made me aware that you are offering 3-time mentoring sessions very soon, is it safe to assume that you've possibly only recently been referred to me? If so, I can certainly understand the potential absurdity of such rates. I am mostly approached by folks who have been following the content that I produce for a number of weeks, months, or years, where these folks have already come to know, like, and trust me. Not everyone can afford my one-on-one rates. However, those who can have been eager to pay these rates for the opportunity to have me as their mentor to help them break through to new levels of success. To date, I've had a 100% satisfaction rating from every one-on-one client that I've ever worked with. Usually these folks already know what it is that they want. They realize that they have failed to achieve their desired outcome over and over again. And they have been following me enough to know that my story is something that they resonate with, that they have seen me struggle through similar things on my own journey and have yet found a way to break through the obstacles that were holding me back, and they have witnessed the fact that I have successfully navigated the path to success in reaching all of the crazy goals that I have set for myself over the years. If there is any doubt whatsoever about my rates, I would strongly encourage you to not purchase the one-on-one mentoring package. I have no doubt that you have the ability to continue to succeed without working with me. However, if by chance you do continue to follow my content and at some point become convinced that one of my offered products or services would be of value to you at the price offered, I will look forward to the opportunity to serve you at such a time. I sincerely thank you for your interest in working with me. Now, right before I hit the record button tonight, I saw that this gentleman emailed me, and I just want to read you the email response that I got from him. He says, Cliff, thank you. I appreciate the lengthy response, and I will definitely be listening to that podcast episode if you do end up using it as a topic. Feel free to say my name on the show. Not that I want any publicity. I just know that it can be tough trying not to hold things like that back, especially behind the microphone. Again, thanks so much for your response. Have a phenomenal day. And then he signed his name. So anyway, I'm that my friends is not. If I would have replied to that email yesterday, based upon my emotional response, I promise you, it would have not gone well, because I would have been in defensive mode. Well, let me tell you why I am worth all of this. Let me tell you why I've done, and let me tell you about all the people who have paid it, and that is not the way you respond to something like that. And that's the emotional state. That was the old Cliff Ravenscraft. That's the old programming. And I had to yesterday. I had to work with myself and do something called a pattern interrupt. I had to interrupt the pattern that was causing me to have that response. and I had to reframe this whole situation in a completely different way and say, how can I grow from this experience? And how can I respond to this in a way that is beneficial to everyone involved, beneficial to me personally, beneficial to him as the recipient of my response, and how can I potentially use this as an opportunity to share this as a valuable teaching resource in my podcast without it backfiring on me, right? So without it backfiring me. And that is and through doing all of these things, this is how I carefully crafted the response. And now, guess what? This person is listening to you're listening to my voice right now. And I hope that even by hearing these 45 minutes or so already, that you're beginning to see, wow, this Cliff Ravenscraft guy, he might be somebody that I might eventually one day feel confident paying $3,500 to have 3 one-on-one sessions. Let me just say something real quickly. I've been doing these one-on-one mentoring sessions for a couple years now at this price of $3,500. Now, I will tell you that it used to be $3,500 for 6 one-hour calls within 6 months, and I decided to stop doing that about a year ago. And the reason why is because every single mentoring client that I've worked with one-on-one who had signed up for the $3,500 for the 6 one-hour calls, they actually, I would say, out of the 10 people that I've worked with in this capacity, in this particular, because by the way, you'll notice this is not mentioned on my website. I very rarely even mention that I offer one-on-one. I don't do a lot of one-on-one, but of the 10 that I've worked with at the 6 month rate, or the 6 months or 6 calls for 3,500, all but 2 of them got 100% of the value that they desired out of this 6 for the $3,500. 8 out of 10 of them got everything they wanted in the first 1 hour call. Seriously, every single one of them got exactly what they desired for their $3,500 in the first 1 hour. I'm sorry, not every single one of them. 8 out of 10 of them. The other 2 got it within the second call. And it was usually within 15 to 20 minutes of the second call. I will tell you, the third call, the fourth call, the fifth call, and the sixth call were, they were never a waste of my time. They were never a waste of their time. But I can tell you right now, we made up things to talk about because they had already achieved what they wanted in the first or within the first 20 minutes or so of the second call. And so I'm like, this is crazy. Why am I doing that? And so after 10 of them, I stopped doing that. And since then, it has been $3,500 for 3 one-hour calls. Now, I intentionally waited, and I put myself into a peak emotional state. That's why I was out of breath. Remember that 48 minutes ago? I put myself into the right emotional state today because I did not want to come here, and nothing I'm about ready to share in the last part of this episode is meant to be defensive in any way. But I am 100% confident in the fact that $3,500 is the appropriate rate for me to charge for what I do. But it's only for people who have an issue or a problem or something that's holding them back, where the outcome that they're looking to achieve is worth a minimum of $3,500, and I hope that it's worth well more than that. So, for example, if you are, let's just say you're 50 to 150, maybe even 200 pounds overweight, and you want to learn how and you've been on an up and down dieting yo-yo program for the last 3 to 5 years, and you can't figure out how to become the master of your physical body, and to get the weight off and to keep it off, and to change your beliefs about who you are and what you're able to change your identity. And to achieve the physical fitness and stuff, is that worth $3,500? I bet it is. It has been to quite a few people. And so I love helping people with that. Now, for somebody who is making $10,000 and wants to 6 to 8x their income and wants to be able to say, hey, here's what this is what I'm doing, get some valuable feedback, and we talk about, I can ask a couple questions and see where you're at. Have you thought about doing this? And there's one question I've asked a number of people. I said, have you ever thought about doing this? And it's like, wow. And all of a sudden now, those people, because I asked them one question, they have a brand new stream of income that's generating between $8,000 to $12,000 a month in their business. And it's the first time in their life that they've had recurring, ongoing revenue. With all I did was ask them one question. And now those people are making $8,000 to $12,000 per month. Now, do you think those people are upset that they paid me $3,500? Not at all. My great friend Ray Edwards, he had a very significant issue pop up in his life recently. Something that was very significant. All right, it was an issue that was causing him a great deal of internal conflict. Okay, and I can share this because he sent me a text message and says, "Hey Cliff, will you pray for me today?" Ray and I are really close personal friends, and he says, "Will you pray for me?" And he quickly jotted down in the text message what had transpired, just a brief, like one sentence statement of what had happened. And I said, "Absolutely, I'm praying now, and I've got a question for you. Would you like to jump on a call later today?" And he said, "Absolutely." And we got on a call, and at the beginning of the call, he told me about what had happened. He told me exactly how he felt about it that moment in time, and that he wasn't even interested in changing the way he felt about it at that time. And I asked him, I think, about 4 questions, and it was less than 15 minutes, and completely changed his life that day. It just like, boom, done. And so much so that he says, "Cliff, oh my gosh, will you please let me record a video interview with you here on Zoom?" And this is what he said.
"Hi, I'm Ray Edwards, and I want to just give you a word of advice when it comes to Cliff Ravenscraft and his coaching. Cliff and I have been friends for a long time, and becoming familiar with a person sometimes causes you to not hold their gifts in as high regard as you might otherwise. That's not been the case with me and Cliff, but I saw my admiration for Cliff rise to a new level recently when I was experiencing a troublesome problem. I had talked with several of my closest people who I go to for counsel when I have troublesome problems, and that had been to little avail. But I had one 15-minute conversation with Cliff, and here's a guy that I've known for years. We're good friends, and I got to see him in a different light. I got to see him shift my thinking in a way that changed my whole paradigm about what had just happened in a situation in my life. So it went from being, oh, this is a tragic, terrible thing that just happened, to this is a great opportunity for me to experience more love, more excitement, more joy, and more freedom in my life. And that's key for me, freedom. If it's key for you, you can do no better than to listen to, learn from, and be transformed by what Cliff Ravenscraft is doing.
There you go. So again, I share this because I've worked with people, and I've come to the place where I'm confident in the value that I bring to others. And I actually have a proven track record at this pricing working with people. In fact, I have a program that is $7,500 for a 1 day. It's an 8-hour mentoring session with me. And it's called The Day with Cliff, and it's here in the Next Level studio. And the people who actually hear about this package, I tell them it's $7,500. It's an 8-hour mentoring session with me, but you have to travel here to Northern Kentucky, and we'll spend the day together here in my studio, and we'll talk about whatever you want. And I tell you, it took me, when it was proposed, it was actually Ray, my friend Ray, is the one who suggested I should offer this. And I said, Ray, and we talked about the price I would offer it at. And when I actually thought about offering a day with me where they have to travel here to spend that day for $7,500, I'm like, who am I that anybody would do that, number one? And it took me a little while to get into the place where it's like, wait a second, who am I? Let me ask that question. If I'm going to ask myself, well, who am I to do that? Well, then by golly, let me create the inventory and let me make a list of who am I? Why would anybody do this? If you're going to ask the question, then at least write down the responses. So the question is, and I'm like, okay, if I'm going to offer a $7,500 package, if I'm going to offer this thing, who am I and what do I bring to the table? Why would anybody do that? And so here's my list. This is the one where it's like, I hope this doesn't backfire, because it's like, I'm going to share my list, and this could come off as being arrogant. You know what? This is me being authentic and sharing with you who I am and what I bring to the table. All right. So number one, I am a man who has a deep-rooted foundation of faith in Jesus. I may not go around quoting Bible verses all the time, although I could. However, everything I do and every part of who I am has its roots deep in my faith. There is nothing I do outside of my faith in Jesus. I am not perfect, however, when it comes to my faith. I am no perfect human being. I have many of my own flaws. I never claim to be, and I am only able to do everything I do deeply rooted in my faith, thanks to God for the grace of Jesus Christ. And boy, do I lean heavy on the grace. It's like gravy in this household. All right. Or at least for me personally. I am not perfect. However, I have a deep desire to always be honest, authentic, compassionate, caring, and in integrity with who God has created me to be. So that's the first thing I bring to the table. Number two, I have had a thriving marriage for going on 22 years. Stephanie and I are more in love today than we have ever been before. Stephanie and I are raising 3 caring, loving, and respectful human beings who are aged 18, 16, and 12, who are going to contribute to this world in their own amazing ways. By the way, Stephanie and I are not raising children. We're raising caring, loving, respectful human beings. Or we're raising adults. Anyway, that's just a little joke that we have. Anyway, I've got more than 2 decades of hardcore sales experience. It's actually 24 years as of this year. 24 years, more than 2 decades of hardcore sales experience. Before starting my own business in January 2008, I worked for 12 years as an independent insurance agent selling auto, home, business, life, and health insurance in my parents' family-run insurance agency. During my time as an insurance agent, I attended many of the best sales and marketing training workshops in the world. People like Brian Tracy and the Sales Accelerator Program, the State Auto Pacesetter Program, the most incredible sales training. I was recognized by multiple insurance companies as being the best of the best insurance agents, ranked by sales within the entire United States. In 1 year alone, Grange Life Insurance listed me in their top 10 life insurance agents out of more than 14,000 agents. I was number 7. All right. At the very same time, that very same year, Auto Owners Life Insurance listed me as one of their top 50 agents out of more than 48,000 agents. The interesting thing, by the way, with both of those life insurance companies, their ranking system was on premium alone. And this will not make any sense to anybody who does not come from an insurance background. But I personally only sold term life insurance. Term life insurance is very low premium. And any agent who outranked me only did so because they sold what's called permanent insurance, which actually produces a much higher premium. And in most cases is not the best product for their customers, but it certainly gets them lots more commissions than I did. However, if you think about this, if the ranking were done by the number of insurance policies sold, or AKA lives that were protected, financial lives that were protected as financially as a result of life insurance. If it was based upon the number of insurance policies sold, I would have ranked number one in both companies by a long shot. There was a time when I was selling between 15 to 35 life insurance policies per month. That is unheard of. That's me, one human being. And by the way, I was doing that on top of selling auto, home, and commercial insurance and health insurance. But I had people lined out the door on a consistent basis to buy term life insurance from me because of the amount of time, effort, and energy I went into educating people on this idea of becoming debt-free, buying term life insurance for 10 to 30 years, between 10 to 30 years, investing all of the other money into paying down their debt and becoming debt-free, and then investing in other ways so that eventually they don't even need that life insurance anymore. Because otherwise, permanent insurance is what you want to do, but boy, does that make me rich. But it's not necessarily in your best interest. It'll protect you, it'll give you a life insurance policy, but boy, will it be expensive. Anyway, so yeah, I was pretty successful as an insurance agent in sales. In fact, State Auto Insurance, they actually awarded me as the only personal lines insurance agent to sell more than $1 million in personal lines premium in a single year through their Pacesetter sales training program. Now, they had many commercial, so they had this is a 1-year sales training program. I don't know if you just heard that. I went through a 1-year sales training program through State Auto called the Pacesetter program. It was one of the most premier, prestigious sales and marketing training programs in the world when it comes to the insurance industry. All right. And it was a 1-year program. Now, it was for commercial lines, and they had personal lines. And they had goals for commercial lines for you to be able to stay in the program, and they had goals for personal lines to stay in the program. And I was the only personal lines agent who actually met and exceeded all of the commercial lines premium guidelines. Anyway, so let's just put it this way. I have more than 2 decades of hardcore sales experience. And a lot of that was from my time as an insurance agent, the 12 years as an insurance agent. Now, I've been 100% full-time self-employed for more than 10 years and have built an extremely profitable business that generates more income than I could have ever dreamed possible 10 years ago, and also allows me more margin in my life today than I ever dreamed possible. Let's see here. And I put a note in here. Did you know that half of all businesses close? 50% of all businesses close within their first year. 80% are gone within 5 years, and 96% of all businesses fail within 10 years. That means that only 4% of businesses last more than 10 years. And that just means that they're still standing, even if they're not profitable. There are businesses out there, 4 out of 10, all right, or actually 4%, 4 out of 100. 4 out of 100 businesses will be in business 10 years later, and not all 4 of them will be profitable. All right. Anyway, I've trained more than 30,000 individuals how to successfully launch an audio podcast through my business efforts alone. All right. That's a pretty significant accomplishment that I'm proud of. I've created a $2,000 4-week online group coaching program called Podcasting A to Z, which I hosted a total of 32 sessions between March 2011 and September 2017, where I trained personally, coaching one-on-one nearly 700 students through the launch of their podcast. Now, if you do the math on that, $2,000, nearly 700 students, you'll know that this is over a $1 million product for me, okay? I'm the only person in existence that I know of. And if you know of somebody else that has this, then let me know, and I will correct my statement moving forward. But I'm the only person in existence that I know of who's had any kind of online training program of this nature, where they've had this many students go through an online course with a 100% satisfaction rating. I have never been asked for a single refund. Okay, I've personally worked one-on-one with the best of the best in the online business/entrepreneurial niche. If you look at the top 100 podcasts in the business category of iTunes, which is the number one premier destination where everybody goes to submit their podcast. I mean, it is the de facto standard. In the business category, a majority of the 100 podcasts that are in the top ranked business category, a majority of those are hosted by clients that I personally trained through one-on-one coaching. Some of those people are like Michael Hyatt, Michael Stelzner, Pat Flynn, John Lee Dumas, Dan Miller, Amy Porterfield, Ray Edwards, and that's just to name a few. And by the way, not only that, but every single one of those people are not just clients that I've worked with that I can drop their name, but every single one of those individuals are now today very close, personal friends that I am blessed to be able to interact with on a regular basis. In fact, three of those individuals are in my weekly mastermind group, and the other ones, every single one of them, I could drop them a text message at 3:00 in the morning if something was going on in my life, and they would gratefully respond to me if I ever was in need of help or encouragement from any of them. That's the kind of relationship that I've been blessed to have. In my business, I've also been an official reseller of physical products. Since January 2008, I've sold nearly, and actually this year I will hit $1 million in podcast equipment packages. Now, this is not affiliate. I mean, I've got some affiliate income. I got all that stuff. But I'm talking about my own podcast Answer Man equipment package. You can find it over at cliffravenscraft.com. Click on podcast equipment up in the nav menu if I'm still selling it when you hear this, which probably will happen for quite some time because it's passive income for me. But anyway, I this year, 2018, I will actually hit $1 million in sales in podcast equipment packages. And I only sell one package. Only one. And I will hit $1 million in sales of physical products. All right. So since 2010, I have generated hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I actually went into my P&L thing. I only started doing digital tutorials in 2010. And by the way, I only have about 7 of them. They're low cost. But I did a P&L and I did 2010 through today. And digital products, I've generated hundreds of thousands of dollars from only 7 low-cost digital tutorials. I've had an incredible amount of experience with my own pricing journey. When I started my business in 2008, I was charging $50 an hour. Today, I still do offer one-on-one mentoring. However, today I charge $1,500 for a single 1-hour session, or I do currently have a package for $3,500 for 3 one-on-one mentoring sessions within a 90-day period. And as I mentioned earlier, I also have a Day with Cliff mentoring package, which is $7,500 for an 8-hour day of one-on-one mentoring here in my Next Level studio. All right. So I have, and trust me, my pricing journey is very interesting. And I did not get to the place where I charge this much money. It took me years to get to the place. It wasn't something I did from March 22nd through the end of the year to go from $10,000 a month to the kind of money that I generate today. But I certainly have an experience and I can tell you the things, and there are certainly things that I know today. If I would have known years ago, I don't know that I could go from making $10,000 a month to making $1 million by the end of the year. I could do that today. I could generate $1 million by the end of this year, but it's only based upon what I've built over the last, since actually for me since December 2005, because I did it for 2 years as a hobby before I did this full time. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Keep going. Where are we at? Let's see here. I've had pricing journey. So I've got an interesting pricing journey, and the thing is, especially for somebody who's out there who's already finding great success in their online business, they're already successfully generating $6,000 a month in online course sales. They're already generating a significant amount of money from a little bit of money from their one-on-one, but their greatest struggle is actually selling higher ticket items. This is a value that I bring to the table. I've been able to help a lot of other people break through the limiting beliefs that exist and the mindset issues that's simply holding you back from that next level of income. Just by working with them, because I know it. I've been there. I struggled with it. I have lived the struggle of the pricing journey, and I'm on the other end of it. That's why I asked at the beginning of this episode, it's like, how would you respond to that? Would you go back and offer, it's like, I'll tell you what, let me give that to you at a lower cost. I don't even market one-on-one. This was somebody who reached out to me. I definitely I'm at a place, because of my pricing journey and where I'm at today, I'm at a place right now where the only day of the week that I have to work is Wednesday. It's the only day of the week I have to work, and I technically only need to work 3 hours on Wednesday for 90 minutes in the morning, 90 minutes in the evening. Those are the only times where I have to be at work at a specific day at a specific time. There are several other things that need to happen in my business, but they're all things that I love, and they're all inside of my thing called the zone of genius. And which include this podcast episode. But I can do these anytime, day or night. Like, I'm recording this right now, Thursday at 9:44 p.m. But you know why I'm doing it Thursday at 9:44 p.m.? Because I didn't do not even a minute worth of work before I came down here to start outlining this podcast episode today. This podcast episode today is the only work I've done in my business today. And it's because it's all I've had to do. And I also had to write that response to the individual that we're referring to here. So anyway, where are we at? So next thing, what else do I bring to the table? I'm a professional content creator. I've produced content that has resonated with hundreds of thousands of people around the world. I was among the very first podcasters in the world. I was probably one of the first 100 podcasters in existence. I think there's a lot of value in my experience if anybody's out there looking to create content that resonates with people. Since December 2005, I've produced more than 30 different podcast shows. That's not episodes. That's 30 different shows with well over 3,700 individual podcast episodes, most of which are at least an hour in length. This is episode 539 of this particular podcast, but I've had more than 29 other shows. So, produced a lot of content. I've been publishing videos on YouTube since April 2006, and as of March 22nd, 2018, I've uploaded a total of 912 videos to my YouTube channel. So I have a little bit of experience in creating content there as well in the video realm. By the way, when it comes to live streaming, which seems to be all of the rage today, you know what? I've been live streaming video and audio since 2007. Actually, no, that's not true. Since 2006. I've been live streaming audio and video since 2006. Way before it was easy to do so. Let's see here. What else do I bring to the table? Who else? I mean, why on earth could I potentially even think about charging $7,500 for an 8-hour day with me? Well, let's continue. Well, next of all, my network of friends is something that only God could have assembled. I mean, God ordained divine connections. My network, my connections in life, it's something only God could have brought into my life. I mean, certainly, I mean, I'm not trying to be false humility or anything like that, but let me just tell you, if there's anything that I do not know or that I do not have experience in, there's hardly anything that I could possibly even imagine where I could not find the answer instantaneously based upon the close network of friends that I've been blessed to have in my life. And especially if the people that I'm serving are on the online business journey, the network of friends that I have in this space, it is literally second to none, and it's not something I'm arrogant about. I'm like, God, how did you do this? How did this happen? And I know a lot about how it happened, and I actually teach a lot of the things. But my network of friends is something that wow. So when somebody has access to me, I may not immediately connect you with, let's just say, Michael Hyatt. But by golly, I can tell you right now, I've had somebody who's spent $7,500 to spend a day with me, and I was able to get. They would have loved to have the opportunity to ask Michael Hyatt a question, and I can tell you right now, I was able to ask Michael Hyatt a question on their behalf, and then get that answer and send that to them. And I will tell you it. And by the way, I don't make that as a promise. Don't hire me if you're trying to get to Michael Hyatt. That's not how this works. It's something that I felt like it was the right thing to do. And yeah, anyway, there's a whole lot more that goes into that. But my network of friends. So not only do I bring what I bring to the table, but man, what I have access to, the resources. Gosh, the how old am I? 45. The 45 years worth of knowing where to go to find the answers, even if I may not have them. It's not even just in my network of friends. Guys, I got to tell you, I learn a lot. In fact, that's one of the things I'm going to talk about in just a second. But anyway, my health and fitness journey. Here's another thing I bring to the table, even if you're not in need of a health and fitness overall. Just what I've been able to accomplish through my fitness journey. So many principles and things that I've learned in this area are easily transferable and applicable. All the principles are applicable to any other goal or outcome in life. But let me just talk about my fitness and health journey, because it's something that a lot of people need help with. Let me tell you. I have experienced through a lot of trial and error in finding a proper balance in success in business while putting my health and fitness first. In January 2009, let me say that again. In January 2009, I almost died in the hospital, and that's not hyperbole. I did. I almost died in the hospital as a result of the stress I put on my body during my first year of self-employment. I had an up and down fitness journey, if you will, from 2009 to 2014. At my highest, I weighed 272 pounds. I had lost 60 pounds, gained it all back. Lost a lot of weight, gained it all back, lost a lot of weight, gained it all back. That all ended on November 14th, 2014, as a day I will remember. Matter of fact, it's called the day that I decided to start living. That's the day I gave it that title on that day, and I recorded a podcast episode about it. Anyway, on November 14th, 2014, I made a commitment to the world and announced that I would be working out 6 days a week, every week, for the rest of my life. And I've maintained this commitment for nearly 3.5 years now. And in fact, today, I'm actually at the gym between 10 to 15 hours a week because I love it. Not because I have to, but because I love it. It's the most exciting thing that I look forward to every day is the time I spend in the gym. I love it. I love it. I love it. And the things that I do while I'm at the gym are life-giving and fulfilling and add value to my life and allow me to add value to so many other people's lives. It's incredible. All right. In 2009, I weighed as much as 272 pounds. Today, I'm under 200 pounds. I will never be above 200 pounds again in my life. I have burned over, in the past 3.5 years, I've burned over 100 pounds of body fat, and I have built over 30 pounds of pure muscle. Burned over 100 pounds of fat and built over 30 pounds of pure muscle. What else do I bring to the table? I have a history of setting bold goals and achieving them. Every single one of them, actually. Well, at least the ones that I stay focused on. Every year I make a list of goals, and sometimes there's as many as 12 goals. But the ones that I decide and deem, these are the ones I'm going to go over after, they absolutely must happen. Anything that I've ever said, this is a must. I am going to make this happen, and I remain committed to it. Every one of them I have achieved. There's never been a goal that I set my mind to that I didn't actually achieve. In fact, I have a formula that makes it possible for me to achieve any goal that I remain focused on. I used this formula to get out of debt in 2007. I used it to build my business. I used it to buy Stephanie's dream car when it seemed impossible. I used it to build our dream home when it seemed impossible. And I actually didn't even need the formula to buy my own dream car, which is my 1974 Volkswagen Beetle. Anyway, I teach this formula for how to achieve your goals. It's something that I teach a lot of people, and as a result of teaching it to them, they are achieving their goals, their dreams as well. Another one I bring to the table, I have a history of shutting down massively profitable streams of income. Now that might be like, wow, how is that a benefit that you bring? Well, I can tell you there are sometimes the best decision you can do is to actually make a pivot and do something different. Are you making lots of money where 80% of your income or more is coming from one particular service that you offer or product that you offer, but it's actually taking up a majority of your time? Well, is it possible that there might be a different way for you? Well, on multiple occasions, I've shut down streams of income that were my number one source of income so that I could pursue something that would allow me to leverage my time and effort more efficiently. And every single time, I've massively increased my overall income as a result of these bold decisions. Going on this, I have a proven track record of reinventing myself over and over again, gaining greater success in all areas of life each time I make the bold step into a new direction. I did this from insurance agent to podcaster, from podcaster to from just a podcast content creator to the world's go-to expert in the world of podcasting. And then from Podcast Answer Man, the world's go-to authority in podcasting, to leaving that behind and going into business mentor and life coach. All right. So, and trust me, there are a lot of people that come to me. The reason why they come to me is they're looking to reinvent themselves. Well, guess what? I have a proven track record of reinventing myself successfully. All right. Let's see here. What else do I bring to the table? I am always learning. I spend a minimum of 5 to 10 hours a week every single week on my own personal and professional growth. 5 to 10 hours a week every single week, I'm learning something new that expands what I know, what I understand, or helps me improve my system of beliefs about what is possible in this world and how to achieve those things that are possible. So here's the thing. Every single week, I bring more to the table, to my mentoring clients, my coaching clients, to my mastermind members, to the attendees of my workshops, to the attendees of my conferences. All of the things that I do, every single week, I bring more value, because I am always learning. And then today, here's the last thing I'll share. This is my inventory that I've been reading to you. Today, I am absolutely 100% confident that I am fully equipped to serve my community in the following ways: through my free content and my paid products and services. Here's how I help. I help people change their beliefs about who they are and what they're able to achieve. I help people rediscover their ability to dream. I help people dream big dreams. I help people discover and break free from their limiting beliefs that are keeping them from living the life of their dreams, or, if you will, the life for which they were created. And let me just say that again. What is it that's holding them back? I help them discover and break free from those limiting beliefs. I help people learn how to set and achieve their goals. I help people break through procrastination. I help people end the pattern of self-sabotage. I help people learn how to take control of their emotional state, or how to control their emotions, if you will. I help people enhance their personal relationships. I help people learn how to master their physical body. And this is something that I'm working on, and it's something I'm achieving more and more success in my own life, and I'm having a great deal of increasing success in a lot of the lives of the people I'm working with. I help people understand the path to financial freedom. That, my friends, is my inventory. That, my friends, is how, just for me, I don't have to justify this to other people. And that was the one fear that I had with creating this episode. I don't want anybody to think that I was using this episode to justify to you why I charge what I do. But it is important for me to justify to myself, who do I think I am? And it's all about me. Who do I believe I am? How confident am I in the value that I provide for what I'm charging? And I have to ask you this question. How confident are you in the value that you provide? 2 action steps today. Number 1, create your own confidence-building inventory of your qualities, your gifts, your talents, your strengths, and all of your achievements that you can possibly think of. Create your inventory today and add to it every time you achieve something new. Second assignment, second action step that you should take. Go to thecliffravenscraftshow.com/539 and grab and copy and paste the 6 questions. What are my 3 to 5 unique qualities? What value do you get from connecting with me? What do you think is my professional strength? What do you think is my personal strength? What attribute is unique to me and separates me from others? What is one quality that I seem to undervalue that you think I should be more bold about sharing? Send those 6 questions to about 10 to 20 people that you have had a decent ongoing relationship with, where they have experienced value from you, and use those responses to add to your inventory. And that, my friends, I believe will change your life. And that's what this show is all about, helping you take your life to the next level. Real quickly, if you are interested in applying for the Next Level Mastermind, you can go over to nextlevelmastermind.info. And also, in 2 weeks from today, actually 2 weeks from the day that this is released, which is Friday, March 23rd, there's only 2 weeks left until the next session of the Next Level Workshop. You can come here and spend 2 days in my studio, in my training facility, if you are starting or looking to grow your online business in the area of being a thought leader, a coach, somebody who has online courses, you want to do one-on-one, you want to do mentoring, the kind of stuff that you see me doing, online classes, digital products, stuff like that. If you are looking to start that kind of business, or you're looking to build or to grow that business, if you are not making a minimum of $10,000 a month every single month, then come to the Next Level Workshop called Building an Online Business. You can find out about that at nextlevelworkshop.live. That's nextlevelworkshop.live. And also, the only thing that's really missing from the sales page for the Free the Dream conference at this point is the hotel information, which, by the way, there's lots of hotels in Franklin. I'll get those added very soon, where you can go, but there's tons of them. But anyway, tickets are now on sale over at freethedream.live, freethedream.live. And that, my friends, is going to be the end of this very lengthy episode. I trust that it's added value to your life, and that it was not something that backfired. That me sharing with you exactly word for word what I've written down on my own inventory it's my prayer that this did not come off as me justifying to the person who emailed me or to any of you why I charge what I charge. But it is what I use to justify to myself why I charge what I charge. And based upon these things that I've shared, not only am I confident in my prices, I'm confident that my prices will increase. And maybe sooner than I expect. Until next time, my friends, I encourage you to take every area of your life to the next level.